What is up, everybody? It's Saturday. On Saturday, we're visiting Enticed Garage. It's our friend Shaun, who does some dry ice blasting of a bunch of, higher end vehicles, things like that. He's got quite the operation going on in there. We're going to shoot a bunch of B-roll, check some stuff out, and have him explain some of the processes of how this stuff works. Very interesting. So we're here, going to hang out. We'll see what happens. If you can, please introduce yourself.
My name's Shaun, and I am the owner of Entice Garage.
What does Entice Garage do?
We are a dry ice detailing shop that specializes in the detailing, preservation, restoration, however you want to label it, of cars. Ideally, European cars, that's kind of what I specialize in, but if you have a car that runs and you want to get it cleaned, I will absolutely do it for you. So I discovered dry ice detailing through Obsessed Garage. Matt Mormon he's my favorite YouTuber. I love his channel, love his content. He's a big BMW guy like myself. His are a little bit nicer than mine. And he had his E36 M3 dry ice detailed by Scott Ailes, who is the Drice man down in Florida. He had that done last year. I had been looking for a way, so I've been in IT for nearly 16 years. I'm a software tester. And I've had about enough of sitting at a computer all day, every single day, and been looking for a change. I've always wanted to get out into the automotive industry in some way, shape, or form. I'm not a mechanic. I like to detail my own cars, nobody else's, so that was out. But once I discovered the dry ice detailing, I was mesmerized. I was captured. I was floored. I told my wife, I said, Katie, you have to see this. The second I saw the video, and I looked at her and I said, I think this could be my opportunity. This could be it, because it didn't exist. I had never heard of it until that specific day, that specific moment. And that was about a year ago. I started out on the venture, and I opened up shop in the beginning of March. So it's been about 2 months now that I've been open.
So you are doing this full time now?
I'm doing it part-time.
Okay.
I still have my day job, but
Yep.
I'm doing that part-time. I'm at my day job Monday through Wednesday.
Okay.
So I dedicate Thursdays and Fridays and weekends, if need be, to dry ice.
That's a pretty good mix.
Yeah. Luckily, my company, for all its faults, it does have some good perks.
Yep.
I can kind of come and go as I please. I work from home basically full-time, and they do allow employees to go part-time. For the first month or two, I tried doing both jobs simultaneously. I have 2 young boys at home. For the sake of my marriage, I couldn't do that anymore. I had to cut back some way, shape, or form. So it's been going well since I made the adjustment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, what do you think of the term dry ice blasting?
Right, to get back to that. So personally, if I had a car, I don't want anything that blasts near my car. It's just a scary term. So a lot of people are also calling it dry ice cleaning. I think it's a niche market. It's a niche process. We're actually detailing parts of the car. So I prefer the term dry ice detailing. So if you look at, I think it's in my Instagram bio for my company. I'm pretty sure I say I'm a dry ice detailer, but it's all the same stuff. It all means the same. It's just blasting has a negative connotation towards it when you think about your precious, classic car.
Yeah. So it's safe to say, like you said, the second you discovered this, you dove right in.
I did. So I discovered, again, Scott Ailes was the individual who cleaned Matt Mormon's car down in Florida. Looked into him a little bit, started following him on YouTube, discovered that he had his own Patreon group where he was starting to disseminate the information that he had from years of researching dry ice cleaning on cars. He's a big bring-a-trailer seller. He's sold many, many vehicles there. And he's a businessman. He wants to make money. He thought to himself, how could I elevate the value of these cars on Bring-A-Trailer? What's the next level? What's the next step? And he discovered dry ice cleaning. He dove headfirst into it, buying all the different machines, the compressors, figuring out what worked, what didn't work. And once he discovered what worked, he thought, well, this could be a moneymaker. Let me see if other people want to do the same thing. So I signed up for his Patreon back in April of last year, 2021. After asking my wife, I said, listen, I'm done with my company. I don't know if I want to say the company's name.
You don't have to.
Okay. I'm done with my company, I think, and this could be my opportunity. And Matt Mormon, again, shout out to him. He always preaches investing in yourself. If you want to become better, do better, invest in yourself. And I thought, well, if I join the Patreon, it's not free, it costs money, but that's my way of investing in myself and taking that next step. It might not lead to anything, but it might.
So
And I'm not going to know unless I do it.
I was going to say, it's a start to potentially something.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So I joined the Patreon back in April. We have a weekly Zoom call every single Monday at 6 p.m. It's a bunch of us all around the country. It's mostly men, but there's a female out in New York who does great work. And we basically just share knowledge and processes and business acumen just from all different backgrounds and whatnot. So it's a really cool mix of just people and backgrounds and knowledge. And we have an individual out in California who has run multi-billion-dollar companies who's also doing this now that he's retired as his next hobby business. So it's just really cool to get the perspectives of all these individuals who have different varying levels of success in business. And,
yeah.
and really cool. Yeah.
So this is obviously the infancy of dry ice cleaning in the automotive world,
Sure.
realistically, let's say over the past 3 years
Sure.
at most.
Sure.
Where did it derive from originally? What do you know? Was it used in a industrial way somewhere else?
That's exactly it. So it's been around for decades in industrial space, cleaning out like electrical cabinets and whatnot because of the nature of dry ice, there's no moisture. Dry ice is a solidified carbon dioxide, which doesn't contain H2O. So people always say, well, isn't that going to ruin the electrical components? There's no water, so it can't. So it's very safe on electrical components, which is why it's great for classic cars, because you don't want to get in there with a pressure washer, shooting them around the engine bay, around the battery and whatnot, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. I mean, you start throwing moisture at a French car, you'll never turn it on
So
again.
it'll never start again. And so it's been around for decades in that space, and I don't know exactly when it became a thing in the automotive realm.
Yeah.
But definitely fairly recently. Scott always says he didn't invent dry ice cleaning cars. He took the idea from someone else and just made it better.
Applied it
the
to
Apple
a different
approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't invent the phone.
Yep.
Made it better.
Yep.
So.
Can you walk us through your process of cleaning?
Sure. So.
And actually, if you can, explain some of the equipment.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me over here.
Sure.
So the number one component, aside from the dry ice, of course, that you need for dry ice cleaning or detailing is dry air. The drier the air, the better. If you introduce any moisture into the air, the CO2, the dry ice, does not like the water. It'll clump up. It won't clean effectively. So I've invested in a pretty legit Kaiser compressor setup. So this is a 15 horsepower compressor, which is off right now, or else it'd be really loud. And you can see with the blue smart piping, comes over here and feeds this first tank. Sorry. And this is the wet tank. So basically this is the first step at eliminating moisture from the air before it gets to my dry ice machine.
Okay.
It then leaves the first tank, the wet tank, and runs through this desiccant dryer, which is full of desiccant, which is material that absorbs moisture.
Yep.
And that's basically the last step. Anything that leaves this and gets to the dry tank, that air should be completely dry. And these two tanks each hold 240 gallons of air. So they're pretty large tanks. You need a lot of air and dry air at that.
Because as it's taking the moisture, you're losing air, right? Realistically.
Once it runs through here, you lose a little bit of CFM.
Okay.
But it's a necessary evil.
And does this machine tell you your dryness output? Like, does this monitor it?
It does.
Is that something you, as the cleaner, have to pay attention to?
At a certain point, I mean, in a year or two, I probably will need to get the desiccant replaced because it'll have absorbed all the different, like, I don't know what form it's in, but the little pebbles,
Yeah,
the
they're
little capsules.
usually tiny little crystals.
Yeah, crystals, exactly.
Yeah.
And so once those are used up, this will alert me, and I'll have to have Kaiser come out, probably service the entire unit, and fill this back up with fresh new desiccant, which will last another year or two, depending on my usage, of course.
Not to get into the exact financials, but this from Kaiser in particular, is this something that you lease or is something that you purchased outright?
So I was able to secure a business loan through Bay Coast Bank.
Yep.
And I was able to purchase all of my equipment using the loan.
Yep.
So I own it, but I'm paying the loan back.
Right. Yeah. That just wasn't sure. Obviously it says the service and things like that.
Sure, exactly, yeah.
What kind of services they might offer.
Right. And a lot of them do offer leasing, but I wasn't interested in that.
Just made sense to,
Exactly.
You're diving right in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I went for it. And then, this is the last step. This is the dry tank. And this is the hose that I feed the machine behind Josh, which is my Cold Jet PCS60, and this is the actual dry ice cleaning machine. It is a little dirty right now, so pardon that, but this is the This is the bad mamma jamma. This is what makes all this possible. So this uses the air from the compressor, from the tank, and combines that with the dry ice, which is poured here into the hopper. And this machine's great because, as Josh has seen, it lets you fine-tune various settings. So I can change the particle size of the actual rice pellets, anywhere from 0.3 millimeter to, I think, 3 millimeters. It lets me adjust the PSI, so the pressure that the air is shooting out. And it also lets me dial back or dial up the volume of ice that I'm using. I can use a half a pound a minute. I can use 1.5 pounds a minute. Just depends on the nature of the job and what I'm cleaning and what I'm trying to accomplish at that point in time.
So can you show us the hose? Well, actually, before that.
Yeah.
I did notice before it's grounded.
Yes.
Is that the safety of the machine, safety of you? Because I know it's you said no moisture.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's more for the safety of the operator, because dry ice, it's very dry, and it makes the air around you dry. And so if you're not grounding yourself to the car, you could get zapped fairly often. I've forgotten to do it a couple of times. I haven't been zapped, but it is quite possible. So yeah, so there is a grounding strap that you then just find ideally inconspicuous bolt somewhere underneath the body that you attach this to. And the cord is fairly long and it's retractable. Yeah. Usually. It's a little gunky from all the stuff that I've been cleaning.
Oh yeah, it certainly is.
There we go. But if we're doing something like the engine like we were doing before, don't need to ground anything there because we're on the ground, so it's totally fine. When the vehicle's up in the air, that's become an issue. Right. When it's on the ground, it's grounded itself.
It's got a place, right.
Exactly, right. So yeah.
Can you show us the ice?
Absolutely, come on over. I'll get these 2 scoops. So as you probably know, you may not know, you don't want to touch dry ice with your bare hands.
So I've known that, but is it truly, why is that? Can you explain?
Absolutely. So dry ice is negative 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So very, very cold. And so that's what we're working with here. Little rice pellets, the dry ice. And I say that you're not really supposed to touch it, but I mean, if I put a couple in my hand, as long as I'm moving it around, it's not going to do anything.
And ultimately, your body temperature will melt that.
Exactly.
It's just not as fast as regular.
Right. Like right there, I started to feel it burn a little bit. That's how cold it is. It'll actually burn your skin.
Right. And I believe, obviously, when we're talking the big chunks of it, it can stick to you as well.
Oh, 100%. Right? Yeah. It'll burn right through your skin.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful. I normally wear gloves. I'm not right now. I just finished the job and I've cleaned up. But normally wear gloves, usually latex gloves or nitrile gloves with thicker insulated gloves over that. Yep. The gun, the hose, it does get cold. So you want to make sure your hands are warm, comfortable, dry. And so yeah, this is a 550-pound bin of dry ice. So there's a lot in there.
Actually, yeah, it's very smoky right now, but there we go.
And that's...
How long do you... And again, I don't want to give away trade secrets by any means, but do you provide a bid to each individual after seeing the car, or do you have like a flat rate?
So that's a good question. And normally what we do is, my first question is, what vehicle are you working with? What are we doing to it? And then from there I can kind of make a determination. So a lot of people, they call for undercarriage cleaning. And so normally the car's not here. I can't physically see it. It's over the phone, or email, a text. And I'll say, listen, I can't see the car, but what I can tell you is an undercarriage cleaning, the average price is $2,000 and it goes up from there. Yeah. It all depends on the condition of the car, what the client is looking for in terms of expectations. Do they want perfection, or do they just want it clean? Yeah. And if someone has a budget, I'm more than happy to work with them in that budget. We can focus on certain components of the undercarriage if they don't want to go through the whole shebang. The suspension component, the engine, the transmission, the floor pans, whatever that individual is looking for, I can work with them to achieve that. That said, I can do a set of wheels. That's a flat rate, $200. A set of 4 wheels, you drop them off, and it's amazing what dry ice can do. If you've ever seen the leftover tire weight residue, the wheel weight residue,
Right.
it comes right off like butter with dry ice.
Honestly, for a lot of applications, I mean, even wheels I've had to deal with,
Yeah.
$200 to have them come out looking pretty much new
Yeah.
is a solid deal.
Absolutely, absolutely. What else? Wheel wells. We'll do wheel wells. That starts at $750. Again, without being able to see the condition. Was the car driven? Was it a garage clean? It's tough.
Yeah.
So we say it starts at $750, goes up from there. And lastly is engine bay cleaning.
I was just going to ask you, what about engine
We
bays?
can do engine bays. That starts at $250. Normally doesn't take that long, but again, it depends on how dirty the car is.
Right.
How tight the engine bay compartment is. Do I have room to really get around there? But the rule of thumb with dry ice cleaning or dry ice detailing, if I can see the dirt, if I can see the dirty area, I can clean it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fantastic.
So as far as an engine bay is concerned,
Yeah.
how much prep work do you have to do anything to the bay itself before you start?
Not really, yeah. Just open it up and start. I mean, you want to look it over, look for any potential problem areas, and know what you're working with before you get into it. Look for loose or failing paint, for example.
Yeah.
So if there's any failing paint, you want to either avoid that or turn down the pressure, turn down the particle size, and really shoot from far away so that you're lightly touching it, lightly cleaning the surface.
Yeah.
And then when you get away from the problem areas, you can get closer, turn the pressure up as needed, and get that stuff real clean.
Point it out to the customer as well and just kind of explain like, hey.
Yes, the key is maintaining constant contact, keeping them informed of what you're finding, any discoveries you've made. And the goal early on in the process is setting expectations.
Yeah.
Knowing what the car is, what it needs to be, what they want it to be, and just saying like, listen, like I had a Trans Am in here recently, and I told the client that it's not going to clean up and pop like a Porsche that you might see on YouTube with all these cool dry ice cleaning videos. So just like don't expect that, because the American cars from the 70s and 80s, they weren't undercoated with the same Cosmoline high quality undercoating that the German cars had.
Yeah.
So those German cars will clean up and they'll pop.
Yeah.
The American cars will clean and they'll look great, but they're not going to have that wow factor. But as long as you set the expectation early, customers or clients they'll be appreciative, they'll understand, and they'll be okay with that.
How much time do you dedicate to, or do you have to dedicate to educating the customers as they come in? Because my assumption is a lot of people are still very unfamiliar with the process.
Yeah. So it varies. Like you said, a lot of people don't know about it. So many of them are calling and saying, I want to learn more about your process. Can you tell me? But they always just basically jump to, can you tell me how long and how much? That's their first two questions,
ultimately,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times when they show up, I'll kind of give them a little bit of a background information on the process, my equipment. I want them to feel comfortable leaving their car with me. They've never met me before. I've never met them. So I'm trying to establish a relationship and building it up from there. Ultimately, I haven't had to really educate people or clients too much on the process. I think they kind of, from a high level, they get it. They're just more interested, again, in time and money.
Right, of course, yeah.
Like anyone.
Yeah, right. If you can, please tell us where to find you, how potential customers can get in touch with you.
Sure. So I am on all the socials. I'm at Enticed Garage, ENTICED, and maybe Josh can put a link somewhere for that. That'd be fantastic. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Enticed Garage. And you can email me, you can call me, you can text me, you can message me on Facebook, Instagram. I am receptive to any form of communication. Whatever is easier for the client will work for me. I'm with the times, so I've grown up with technology. I'm very much used to it. And I am in Raynham, Massachusetts, 1776 Broadway. I'm in Unit 16, and there's a sign on the door, garage door right there. So you pull up there, come on in. We'll talk about your needs and how we can help you.
Last question. Do you have any particular goals over, let's say, the next couple of years?
I do. So I want to grow the brand. I want to grow the business. I would like to have a bigger space to work in, because right now it's a little on the smaller side. I would ideally like to have 2 bays where I can have a clean side and a dirty side. So that's my goal down the road. I also would like to, maybe in a year or two, if this takes off and succeeds the way I think it can, I'd like to hire someone to do the actual cleaning so I can focus on building the brand, building the business, marketing, social, networking, talking to dealerships, collectors, restorers, things like that. So right now I'm kind of doing everything on top of working part-time, 2 young kids at home. So I've got a lot going on, but I'm passionate about this. I think it'll succeed, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome, man. Thanks very much for explaining everything to
Thanks
us.
for coming by, Josh. I really appreciate it.